OnChain. OnChain Revolution, Bitcoin not an illusion. Market recaps and I do a roll call. You're not bullish in the vocal. Look at the price action, yeah, send it to the deck, sell it through the spec. Ordinals the best. Too much Bitcoin, gotta go to review. And the bearish gotta put the knee pad. Let me see the comments. Look at the fear and greed index. Bridge, look at the chart.
Welcome back to OnChain Revolution. My name is Shizzy. On this channel, we cover the entire Bitcoin crypto ecosystem. What is up, guys? We have an amazing show for you guys today. Today, we're going to be hanging out with the guys from DPI Capital. These guys are all in on Arch. If you don't know what Arch Network is, you're living under a rock, guys, because Arch Network is potentially one of the biggest things that hit Bitcoin since Satoshi put it online, guys. I'm really excited for this because imagine what they have on Solana, right? Imagine taking that, putting it on top of Bitcoin, and letting everything finalize on the Bitcoin layer one, guys. I'm excited, and I hope you guys should be too. But today we have the guys who are actually powering the way for Arch to kind of do their thing. But not only that, they're actually going to helping the ecosystem power the dApps, right? They're helping these dApp builders and what they're building for Arch, because we do know, you can have a chain, you can have whatever you want, but if you don't have the killer app, you have nothing. And these guys are helping power that. So really excited to talk to them today. We got Brent and Shahan, and they're going to tell us their backgrounds, kind of get into why they're bullish on Arch, and so much more, guys. Really excited for this one. So without further ado, let's bring my partner here, as always, Mr. Yagobi. What's up, buddy?
What's up? What's up? What's up?
What's up, man? So DPI Capital, guys who are powering Arch, man. Really excited.
Yeah, I'm excited to really dive into this. Unfortunately, I was in Hawaii. Well, I guess it was a fun time for me, but unfortunately, I didn't get to meet them during that week when you had them on. And so this is kind of my first kind of deep dive, having them on the show and stuff. So I'm excited to learn about them. And look, we really haven't seen in the Bitcoin ecosystem one fund kind of say, hey, look, we're all in here. We see why, from different angles, why they are attracted to Arch and the leadership there. But I think they're going to give us, really what's made them kind of say, okay, look, all our cards are on the table here. Our chips are on. We believe in the leadership and what Arch is going to bring. And, like you mentioned, Arch could be that missing link, that home base that we talk about all the time for Bitcoin, because that is one thing that the Bitcoin ecosystem needs is a home base. Ethereum has home base whenever you know where you're going to go to swap. All the layer twos have that. Solana has that. With Bitcoin, it's kind of like, okay, we can go here, we can go there. They don't get that same experience. And I think that's what Arch might bring. And we're going to hear a little bit about the people that really believe in them today.
100%, man. The one thing we really need here, right, is a way for these maxis to kind of come on chain, right? A lot of the maxis are just guys like you say all the time. They just show their friends their hardware wallet. Like that's it. That's their knowledge of crypto. But imagine bringing those people on chain and letting them figure out ways to earn yield on their Bitcoin, right? Figure out ways of borrowing and lending their Bitcoin, or even swapping for USD, USDC, or USDT for when they're not bullish anymore, right? When they want to get out and then wait to get back in and stuff like that. So really excited for what Arch brings to the table. It brings a lot of these maxis potentially on chain and off exchanges. All right, we want to bring everyone on chain. That's the whole point of the OnChain Revolution, and Arch is going to be powering that. So without further ado, let's bring the guys in, man. Let's bring up Brent. Let's bring up Shahan. Guys, welcome to OnChain Revolution.
How you guys doing?
Amazing.
Doing good. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, man. All right, let's jump right into it, man. So we got Brent Fisher and Shahan. You guys are DPI Capital. We'll kind of start with Brent here, and if you wouldn't mind, kind of maybe telling us a little bit about yourself, your background, and everything about what you're building.
Yeah. First, I want to say the intro song is awesome. I have to create a TikTok dance for that. Yeah. I mean, someone's got to do one, right? Yeah. I mean, that someone might be me. So just saying. So I actually started as a tech entrepreneur. I built an e-learning company, ran it for 12 years, sold it to a PE-backed roll-up. It was actually a pretty crazy experience I had there, where we rolled up 12 companies in 18 months. So we sold that company for $1.35 billion to Tomo Bravo. During that time period, that was January of 2016, and 2013 is when I discovered Bitcoin, actually watching TechCrunch disrupt San Francisco on my laptop. I just was like, what the hell? This is insane. This is amazing. Yeah. Naval, I think to this day, like maybe one of the greatest predictions of all time was Naval talking about Bitcoin for the first time in front of a crowd. That was pretty insane. Like he's dead on. Like all his predictions were correct. I went down to BTC 2013 Miami, 2014 Miami, because at the time I was in Delray Beach. Very small group of us. It felt like a cult, to be honest. We had like, I mean, I don't even know if there was 200 people there, honestly. I remember the booths at the show. There was Kraken, there was Block, and then the rest of them were T-shirts, and they were also minting your QR code of your Bitcoin on coins. Like that was a thing. Yeah. And BitPay, I think, was the sponsor, but nothing that you couldn't pay for anything with Bitcoin. So everybody was mad about that. But so I've been in the space ever since. I started as an enthusiast. 2016, when I sold my company, I started angel investing. I angel invest as first check into Pocket Network, early angel investor into Merit Circle. Had good success with those. Pocket Network was one of the real first decentralized infrastructure plays. Decentralized RPCs they're still around. I started looking at other projects. I then decided, well, this is kind of hard to find the right projects. I kind of got lucky. I felt later I realized I wasn't lucky. I was actually just keen on some good ideas. But then I started putting some money in with some other VCs. Symbolic Capital, Drew Adventures, to name a few, and did that. I kind of just chilled for a while and was like watching the market and watching what those guys were doing, and thought, well, I'm kind of bored, and also like I want to get a little bit more involved, so I just don't want to be a fan and enthusiast anymore. And on the sideline, I wanted to get on the field. So I jumped on the field as a VC and called my only guy that I knew that knew DeFi better than anybody in the world. So and a close friend, and he'd also been on a couple projects with me. He was at Pocket as well, and that's Shahan. So yeah, that's my story.
That's awesome. Your extensive experience and kind of being able to, first of all, build a business up, and then basically kind of have your dreams come true by being able to sell that, and then find Bitcoin. And you found it in the early days. I would say that's pretty early, 2013. So you've seen kind of I guess I would say evolution, or kind of not evolution, of Bitcoin up until now. And now all of a sudden it's exploding. What was that like to see that growth to where we are now? Because now it seems like things are starting to catch.
Yeah, well, the narratives changed. In the beginning, we were very much payment transaction focused, right? And so looking at Visa and kind of comparing Visa transactions to one-day Bitcoin transactions, and that's where we would get to the valuation of $1 million Bitcoin. It was like, wow, if we can be 10% of what Visa is doing transaction-wise, like what's going to be the value of this? I think Jack Dorsey, stayed on that path. It actually is. It's actually a really good path, because you do need transactions to keep miners going. And so I think eventually we're going to have to find a happy medium. That's where Arch comes in, because transactions is probably not the answer. I don't see, with the growth, with the increase in pricing, like it is, as the asset class has out caggered everybody else. I think that it's hard to see a future where you're going to take Bitcoin and buy a hot dog. But like as far as DeFi, you have to have productivity in an asset. Like right now, Bitcoin is an unproductive asset. It really is just a speculative growth play. I think that Arch brings something else to the table now, where you can put the Bitcoin to work to make more money, or even make more Bitcoin. So yeah, the narrative has changed a lot since I first got into it. It was very much payment oriented, transaction oriented.
Yeah, and I noticed that obviously with Jack, that's something that he just can't let go of, and that's fine. Like you said, there does need to be a happy medium, but I think the on-chain economy that we saw in 2023 says, hey, this can happen with Bitcoin, right. And so that's where Arch kind of comes in. But definitely appreciate you giving the background there. But love to hear from Shahan a bit about your background, and like we heard that you met Brent at that point, but what were you doing before that, leading up into kind of where we are today?
Great. Yeah. So first of all, thanks for having me on the show. I love your guys' show. I've been watching it ever since Brent's been on. You guys absolutely crush it. So, and I also just want to brag a little bit about Brent. Brent is the absolute best partner you could possibly have. And he's such like a founder first kind of partner. You can ask any one of these projects. He leans in completely in. And that's why I wanted to partner with them. So before I joined kind of the crypto Bitcoin kind of world. I was doing enterprise software sales. I was selling into Disney and Facebook and CBS. Actually, one of the solutions I sold to Warner Brothers helped get the Dark Knight movie out into distribution. So I sold the entire tech stack, all the consulting involved with that. So I would sell multi-million-dollar software enterprise deals to these companies. And then when I was working at a startup out of Silicon Valley, one of the people across from me was buying Bitcoin. I was like, what the hell are you doing? He told me about it. He's like, yeah, I bought like 1,000 worth and now it's worth 20 grand. I was like, wait, what? So what I did is I sold a huge deal and then I took all my money and I put it into Bitcoin, and the rest is history. So after that, I was able to semi-retire. I didn't need to work the 9-to-5 job anymore. And I joined a few projects, met Brent during that process. And at that time, what they were trying to do is Bitcoin didn't have this application layer. And so many people were trying to solve for it. Ethereum was trying to do it. Ethereum had problems scaling during the CryptoKitties launch where there wasn't scalability there. So I was looking at different solutions. And I read this book at the time called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And I love that book. And basically what he did is he tried to reverse engineer success from all these people. So that's why I started a podcast. You see here on with Shahan. I had like John McAfee on, Max Kaiser, Jimmy Song, many other big players in the space. And I tried to reverse engineer their success in crypto with the influence of that book. And I got to meet great people like Brent. And Brent and I have been friends now for about a decade. We do deals together. He's been a mentor of mine. You know, when we were looking through these various different projects and the VC funds that were out there, we're basically like, these traditional funds that are out there, the VC funds, the crypto funds are taking on the traditional model, which is like the 7 to 10 years until you kind of exit out. But that's not crypto. In crypto, you have an early liquidity event with the tokens. And so that's why we started the fund, because there's a lot of things you could do when these tokens are liquid. And we started the fund as a general fund. And then once we met Matt and the Arch team, we're like, holy crap, the reason why the rest of crypto exists is because there isn't an application layer on Bitcoin. Now that there is, why wouldn't we go all in on this? So I can go deeper on that as we go, but that's a bit of my background there.
Yeah, that's awesome, and I'd love that you brought up that book. That book is absolutely phenomenal. The chapter where he wants to be like Thomas Edison, so he goes and works for Thomas Edison, right?
Right.
And he deals with all that stuff. So it's like, you know, you want to be in the world where the person you want to be like, which is absolutely amazing. That book's phenomenal. But yeah, I guess my question now is like, what is DPI Capital before we really get started? Like, what exactly is it?
Yes, I'll take that, Shahan. Yeah, I mean, at the root, we're just a venture capital fund, right? So we're a venture capital fund, though, that focuses on Arch Network's ecosystem. So what we do is we're first check into a lot of the ecosystem projects, especially the pillars that are building on top of Arch Network. So we focus exclusively on Arch Network, and we do work hand in hand with the Arch Network team to identify good teams, good projects. And then we write the first check, preferably. I mean, it's not that that's an exclusive deal like that, but we have an agreement with them. If they do find something, they come to us first, and we do this with them. That being said, good projects are good projects, and as long as you're building on Arch, you can come to us, and we'll take a look at it.
Yeah, just to add to that, I think one of the pieces of our DNA that a lot of the projects that we funded and we work with would say about us is that we don't write the check and then walk away. We lean in completely, right? So like, we know the founders, we speak to them very regularly. We're working to connect them with different ecosystems. We're building relationships across the funnel of like additional funding, exchanges, technologies, other parts of their tech stack. So I think that's a big part of what we do that makes us different than the VCs out there, is that we make sure that the founding team, the technology, everything is in place so that we can remove all obstacles so that these founders have a chance of success. So, and I think that's a big part of what we do and why we're going to grow and be successful.
Yeah, I love it.
Definitely.
It kind of goes to my next question. Like, what about like Arch? What about the founder of Arch, Matt, that kind of drew you guys in to begin with?
He's a genius. He's intelligent as heck. He's driven, like one of the most driven people I've ever met. Just relentless. Yeah, if you are lucky enough to be friends with Matt, then you are lucky enough to get his 50 Telegram DMs a day. And I can't imagine, how many other people he's talking to, because I mean, every time I talk to him, he's bringing up another project for us or another partnership with a major player like in Anchorage or whoever. Yeah, I mean, the guy is just he's relentless. He's driven. He's got a vision. Yeah, I mean, everybody else is just along for the ride.
Yeah,
He's
he
awesome.
definitely has that if factor. Like Brent and I are workaholics. And, when we get those slew of messages from Matt, we're just like, all right, we got to step it up. The guy is working 24/7. He's always traveling. He's absolutely committed to success. And, he's bringing us along for the ride, and we're doing whatever we can to support and keep up at his pace. The guy has a pace and a work ethic I haven't seen before. And not even just crypto. I've worked in Silicon Valley, the Web2 space, many of the top startups, top VCs. This guy's an absolute animal.
Yeah, it's fun to try to outwork him, but you just can't.
Yeah.
There's one thing about Matt's personality that I noticed, and I think it's a characteristic that people that have business experience in the past look for, is that he takes his time when he makes decisions, and he's not impulsive. He might be working all the time and grinding, but like I've noticed it in just conversations of like us, like they brought us on to host the event there in Vegas, from here, satellite host, which was really fun.
Yeah.
But like you respect that, because in this space you can get really caught up with emotions. We got a lot of support, we got financial support here and there. He seems someone that's calculated, and you need that calculated in a good way. Definitely.
And he's got the best CTO partner, and they are partners. I mean, they are true partners in Amin, and Amin is just a beast, man. I mean, what a rock star. I've been to a lot of conferences this year, so I did pretty much a road show for about 6-7 months, and I didn't run into a developer that didn't say Amin was the best developer out there. I mean, he is insanely good. So yeah, the combination of those two guys, I was like, yeah, I'm all in with you guys. I mean, I just want to be with the best team, right? I want to be with the best team.
Yeah.
And you got to throw Nick in there too, right?
Nick is my gosh, Nick is a rock star, man. Yeah, I mean, the guy punts out content like nobody's business. I don't even know how he gets the time to do it. I mean,
he's a machine. He's a machine. I mean, he's pumping out stuff. He's letting us know, like, I'm connected to this guy and this guy. I mean, the combination of all of them, they all know their lanes, but they're all working together very cohesively. And I think one of the things that you run into in any industry is like the ego piece of this. And I think, these guys are all absolute beasts in their own right, but like working together, the pie is huge, right? And I think that's a piece of this that we were really excited about. There was even a piece of the pie for our group as well. And they all work together. Nick, Amin, Matt, from the marketing to the tech to the leadership that Matt brings. I mean, it's a rock star team.
Yeah, 100%. And like we haven't been able to meet Amin yet, but we can't wait to actually talk to him one day.
We had him on. We had him on real quick for a segment, Arch Thursday. It was really fast, but yeah, we did have him on. It was when he was in that satellite office. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. So what Arch is trying to do is not easy, right? Let's make that flat and clear. If it was easy, you'd have 100 teams doing it. They're trying to take transactions from ArchVM and finalize them on Bitcoin. If and when they can get this done, I truly believe it's going to be something like really, really looked at for a long time. It's going to make the history books. What makes you guys think that these guys are able to do this?
Well, so the chief solutions architect for Chainlink is invested in our fund. He's a friend of mine. I know that Chainlink has looked at the tech stack internally and really gone over it quite a bit. And he got on a meeting with us and basically said this is the best architect way to settle on Bitcoin, native Bitcoin, that he's ever seen, and that the whole Chainlink team has ever seen. So Chainlink is super behind Arch because of how well it's architected. And I think that speaks a lot because they're not small players in the space. So to me, that was validation for me. I knew that this was going to be the right play, but it was nice to have validation from such a high level tech person. So.
Yeah, and you could look at all the, I mean, when the ecosystem launches, when the mainnet goes live, we have we have courtside seats into all the projects that are going to launch on day one. And these teams are top notch. Like Brent and I've been in a decade. Brent's been in longer than a decade. We could just say that like the grown-ups are here, right? These projects are amazing. They're live on the testnet. They're trying to break the testnet with as many transactions as possible. And when this thing goes live, and it's going to be soon, it's not going to be a ghost chain. It's not going to be an empty chain, which like if you look through CoinMarketCap, you can look at all the L1s, right? And they're like, oh, it's like multi-billion-dollar valuation, or it's worth hundreds of millions. Go and look at the block explorer of those projects and see what's going on in terms of transaction activity. There's nothing there, right? And no one's using these different platforms. So you look at the testnet activity, you look at the tech that's being built, and then you look at the projects and all of the funding that's coming into there. I mean, it's a huge deal. When you talk about Multicoin, you talk about Draper, you talk about Pantera. I mean, these are the biggest names in terms of investors that have also done their due diligence on this project. So it's not a matter of if, in my opinion, and Brent as well. It's a matter of when. And we think that's going to be very soon. Not going to give a date, but I could just say it's going to be very soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great answer. Yeah, I mean, that's why I was going there. I was wanted to throw in a little if there, but I agree with you guys. I definitely think it's a matter of when. Really, really excited for these guys and what they're building. And you guys said soon. I love the fact that we're saying soon now, because I truly believe that this year's going to be a very big year for crypto. This year's going to be a very big year for Bitcoin as well. So Arch kind of getting thrown in there, going live on mainnet. I mean, everything's aligning right now for a potential win scenario. Do you guys agree?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think Arch is the biggest thing. I know we've flown under the radar a little bit, but that was on purpose. Now we're starting to come out and really show what we can do. And I mean, Matt and the team have definitely started to promote themselves a little bit more, and people are getting an idea of like how powerful this thing is. Shout out to Hex at Saturn. I mean, he's our guy. Like, he's very involved. I mean, he's not just involved in Saturn, he's involved in the entire ecosystem. I think that's one thing, is that the entire ecosystem is very collaborative. These guys all talk to each other. All these founders, all the tech teams talk to each other. I mean, you just don't see that rough, right? I mean, I could tell that everybody realizes that we are doing something special. And yeah, I mean, this is a rock star group of people that are going to try to accomplish something that hasn't been done yet, and has been tried, and people have been trying to do it for over a decade, right?
Yeah, and if you look at the market cap of Bitcoin right now, it does not have the application layer, right? So like, look at the market cap; it's above every one of the other projects, and it literally you just buy and hold. One thing I noticed about the Bitcoin space, because I came more from DeFi, I'm a total DeFi nerd. Before the firm started, I used to spend 10 to 12 hours a day in DeFi, finding liquidity pools, exotic pairs, where I can earn yield and income and things like that, and staking. What I could basically say is like, what is the purpose of a chain if Bitcoin does have the application layer? Because if you could settle on the store of value and the biggest, most secure network, what happens to the rest of crypto? I mean, it's a thought exercise I think everybody has to go through, of what happens to the rest of crypto when Arch pulls this off. And I think that's a big piece of this that I don't think a lot of people have thought about, of like, what if they do pull this off? What happens to the rest of crypto? And I think you're going to see a lot of projects migrate into Arch and build there, because it's the most liquidity within Bitcoin, and there's so much opportunity. And what I've noticed with Bitcoin, just to round out that point, is that many people in Bitcoin don't really know the DeFi space. There is the ordinals piece. There are these different tokens, but they haven't worked within those different tool sets. Like the things that you take for granted on Ethers, like Uniswap. There's no Uniswap equivalent, or the Aave, the borrowing and lending. When this stuff comes on chain, the big money's coming in. Think about the Bitcoin reserves. Think about the Bitcoin mining companies that also have reserves. Or when the Bitcoin price goes down for a mining company, what do? Well, now you have all of these different financial products that you could utilize during a down market. And so this is really going to, I think, revolutionize the entire Bitcoin ecosystem. And the one thing I would say is if you're only focused on Bitcoin, I would play around with some of the other DeFi tools so you could be prepared when this stuff does come online.
That's a great point. You made a great point in there in terms of like, all these other tools. And before you talked about like Jimmy Song being on your show and Max Kaiser, and Brent has like the experience with the kind of the maxi world with the early Bitcoin days. Do you guys think that Arch could be that bridge that gets those hardcore maxis? Because Max Kaiser, if he was listening to the show, he'd probably be like, I gotta throw up, or he's like one of those Jimmy Song for sure.
Yeah.
But do you think Arch could be that unlock that everybody's been waiting for? Say, hey guys, look, it's not like horrible here, and this is actually a solution. I'll start with you, Shahan.
Yeah, so to that point, I think some of the maxis you'll never convert, right? And that's like a handful of people that are in like very early, and that's fine, right? And they have justification for that, because if you look at like the BlockFis, the Celsius, and the various other solutions where they did like borrowing and lending and things like that, they all collapsed. And the first principles of crypto, one of the big things is the self-custody piece. And when you not your keys, not your coin, all that stuff makes a lot of sense. I think that the next tier of maxis will be converted, right? I think some of those very early people, I don't think you'll ever convert them. But I think the next tier of people will definitely be converted. And I also think that people who didn't believe in Bitcoin before, they thought it was old tech, you'll get those conversions as well. The key point here is it's a bridgeless Bitcoin, right? So you're settling on chain and it's self-custody. So it does follow a lot of the first principles that Satoshi laid out. And so because of that, I think you will get some conversions, but I think people are going to have to get comfortable with it first, the hardcore maxis. But those are only a few people. Now, they do have a lot of the Bitcoin supply, but I think over time, you're going to see more and more people adopt technology once they're comfortable and they understand that this is a self-custody solution and you don't have to give up your Bitcoin.
Yeah, great point. Brent, what about you? Do you think some of these early maxis are lost cause, or do you think Arch could be the solution?
No, yeah, I think they'll use it. They just won't tell anybody.
There you go. That's the right answer. That's the right answer. Yeah,
I love it. I love it. Well,
They're gonna
let's talk about some
protect
of
their
the.
rep.
Yeah, 100%. That's actually probably what's very true. Let's talk about some of the projects that are building on Arch, right? So you guys are invested in some of those. What's some of your favorite of those projects that are about to drop very soon?
You can talk about that, Shahan, if you like.
Yeah. So, I don't have a favorite child. I'll say that.
I do. No, I'm just.
But he has one child.
I do have actually
child.
By the way, the reason why I love your show so much is I wasn't able to go to the Arch conference because I had my child like a few days before. So I watched your stream and I was able to watch the whole thing.
Awesome.
So actually it's a great connection for me. But the reason why I also wouldn't pick one of these as my favorite, I'll talk through a few of them, is because the main focus that we have for the fund is to build out the pillars. So it's the foundational layer of the ecosystem. So you need a DEX, that's Saturn. You need the buy now, pay later. You have Ordiz. Atara, again, borrowing and lending kind of stuff. And so like a lot of the stuff that we're invested in is very focused on the things that are very essential to bringing on TVL and bringing on the decentralized financial products that exist in all of the other ecosystems. There are a few projects that we can't name. The next time we're on and Arch is live, we will name them. But there is so much innovation that's about to come online that you would never think about, because now we can tokenize some of these pieces. Think about energy, think about data centers, think about different stocks or gold or things like that can get tokenized and provide liquidity for. There's so many different things that can be pushed out here. So I would say the most mature of all of the different dApps is definitely Saturn. So Saturn is essential for the success of of Arch, and that's going to bring the same user experience that you have in Iridium or in Uniswap, and it's bringing that to Arch just as cheap and just as fast.
Great answer. Great answer.
Yeah.
Want to hit on that, Brett?
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same. I can't pick a favorite child, but I think I talk a little bit more about like the kind of things that we're starting to see. I mean, I think Shahan pointed out that we can probably talk a lot more later openly about it, but you're starting to see a lot more like businesses that want to that can generate revenue. You know, it's less about token launches. It's more about generating revenue, and I think that's what Bitcoin brings to the table. It's it's a standard of crypto, and I think people see also that they want to settle on Bitcoin. So yeah, I'm starting to see like, real businesses that are Web2 businesses find ways to like utilize blockchain through Arch. And that's been really interesting over the last month. And it really just happened over the last month where we've seen a handful of businesses. Obviously, there's a lot of value around the miners now and being able to help miners as far as flatten out their cash flow, other things that they can do, generate more revenue, different revenue streams. So I think we're starting to see businesses around that as well. But yeah, I'm starting to see some really interesting stuff that I've been waiting for a decade now. And we just haven't gotten there. But now I think with this application layer on top of Bitcoin, that I think real businesses are going to start looking at this, and it's going to be really interesting. Yeah,
that was one of the things I actually mentioned to Shizzy when we were doing Arch Thursdays. We did a series with Arch for, I want to say, ran probably for 2-3 months maybe.
Yeah,
it was a fun series, but we got to see the ins and outs of some of these potential projects. And one of the things that I noticed was it started to seem like it was a serious chain. Like, and when I say serious chain, like, you're talking about financial products where you could actually leverage the volatility of Bitcoin, or RWAs, but actual RWA stuff, not just the the buzz phrase or buzz acronym, I should say. But is that what you guys are seeing? Is that what you're kind of hitting on? This is not so much as like you're seeing, not so much as like that playful meme, like memes everywhere, but of course there's always going to be that little part, but it's almost kind of like a serious chain that's coming on here.
Yeah, I'll take it real quick, Shahan, and I'll let you kind of expand upon it. Yeah, I mean, of course we're seeing that, and there's a lot of opportunities to generate revenue, but we're also seeing like real businesses look at Arch Network and see that they can settle on Bitcoin. So we looked at one the other day that was healthcare digital imaging storage, and so they're going to go into hospitals and convert digital images and settle those digital images on Bitcoin. Yeah, so I mean things that just will blow your mind. Like, these aren't DeFi projects, these aren't degen projects, these aren't the typical crypto projects. These are literally Web2 projects that now know that they can settle on Bitcoin, and that's a big deal. So I think we're going to see like a whole new wave once Arch launches of these projects or these businesses that we traditionally looked at as Web2 businesses, but they're going to utilize settling on Bitcoin, and I think that's going to be a very interesting wave that's coming here soon.
Yeah, I think the degen stuff, that'll definitely be there. But if you think about it, that's a very small piece. Like, if you think about the big, I mean, we're a multi-trillion-dollar asset, right? So it's like people are going to bring some serious money onto here. And if you think about institutional adoption and different countries creating a Bitcoin reserve strategy, they need somewhere where they can create these different financial solutions on Bitcoin. And I think you're going to see a lot of that. I've noticed that a lot of the focus has been on some of the more of the meme stuff currently, and that's probably due to technology limitations with what exists today. But like Brent said, there's real businesses that are coming online, and I think one of the biggest pieces is just the enablement and education of like what is possible on chain, right? So like once people start, and that's why your show is so important, is like once people start understanding like what you can do and what unlocks, like for example, without naming a company, there are different people who are launching like a Bitcoin backed mortgages, right? So like think about something like that coming on chain. I have this issue, right? So like I have to wait for my big payday because I have to buy my real estate all in cash. Because when I walk into JP Morgan, I was like, they're like, what do you do? And I was like, oh, I do crypto, DeFi and stuff. And they're like, what? And they're like, please leave the room. And I'm just like, what am I supposed to do? So it's like, there isn't this type of stuff for the crypto world. And when you look at different people that invested a little bit of money into Bitcoin very early, it was a very small percentage of their portfolio that now grew to a big percentage of their portfolio. And a lot of people were able to create financial freedom, but the traditional world has not accepted this Bitcoin denominated world. And I think what we're going to see is everything that you see in TradFi, you'll have a Bitcoinized version of this for Bitcoiners, for the people in crypto, which is really going to open the floodgates, and it's going to get a lot more people a lot more comfortable with the industry.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, that's like poetry, man. I just this is your crowd right here. This is awesome. I love this conversation. I want to swing back to kind of your day-to-day job. Let's just say Matt reaches out to you guys and he's like, hey, I don't know, on-chain finance, check these guys out. They're doing so and so and stuff. What's your process of going through them as a company?
Yeah, so I think Brent and I break it up a bit. So like my expertise is DeFi, deep in the tech. I'm not technical. I'm not sitting there and coding, but I'm what's called like a super user. So like I use all the tools. I break all the tools. I try to find an edge in any one of these different types of situations. So what I'll do is I'll take a look at the tech stack. I'll take a look at the comps. I'll look at all of the piping within it. So it's like, how do you get liquidity in here? How do you get user adoption? How is it that a user would go through this user journey? How do you get from the on and off ramps from fiat to crypto and from crypto to fiat? Take a look at the tech team. Take a look at the relationships and the different references that these various companies have. Collaborate with Matt and Amin and various other people that we have in our network, such as what Brent mentioned, Chainlink. We know people that work with decentralized infrastructure. We know some of the greatest experts in the application development or the DApp space. So we go about speaking to all these different people, and then we have a set of meetings with the various founders. And it's not like it takes a ton of time for us because we've been in the industry so long, because we've seen the absolute shit of the industry. We're able to identify some early red flags very early. I'll let Brent talk about his expertise, but just to give some more kudos to Brent, Brent can identify a good founder almost immediately, like almost on the first call. And then, you know, I'm a little bit more cautious, but it doesn't mean I'm right. Right.
Yeah.
So Brent has that skill set, and he's born with that skill set. And I'll let him talk through that, but also the deal structuring and all those things from Brent's point of view. And then we also take a look at when will there be liquidity? When the token launches, how is the token broken up? I go really deep with the tokenomics on any one of these various chains. How does the token work? Is there a buy and burn functionality? Is there staking? Is this connected to any of the other various platforms? One of the biggest critical pieces of success is, can you get transaction activity and TVL onto that DApp? How are they going to go about doing that? What are the relationships and you know, different influencers or people that they know that can help bring this adoption in place? So when a few of those critical pieces are met, we'll move forward in that due diligence process. Brent could probably do it on the first call. I'm not as good as Brent. So until then, you know, I go deep with the research.
Yeah. So I handle the deal structure mostly. That's what I look at. I was an entrepreneur in technology, so I had to raise capital. I sold my company, so I've been on that side of the table. I've been an angel investor in probably over 50 projects, not just crypto. So I understand that side of the table. Like I said, I'm an LP. I'm an LP in other funds, not just crypto funds. So I understand from a VC perspective what the deal structure that the VC needs and what LPs need. So I mostly focus on the deal structure. A lot of times these crypto founders, they haven't had this experience yet, right? They're young crypto founders. This is like maybe their first project that they've ever done. So a lot of them I actually really work with and help them structure the deals to make sense for their future, because it's a stepwise process in raising money, and you have a pre-seed, seed, A, and then in crypto you have TGE. Sometimes you get TGE before A, so you might just be pre-seed, seed. But you have to put this structure in place so you don't give up too much equity early, so you don't outprice the investors early. So I think that most of what I do is the deal structure, but I actually do a lot of coaching around the deal structure, especially when it's a pre-seed. And we mostly just invest in pre-seed, and so it's kind of cool because I get to work with these young founders and be like, well, that valuation, that's going to screw you down the road. What you need to do is structure it like this, and then you ask for more on this next one. And I've been through this process many times, and I've been on your side of the table, so I know exactly what you're feeling, because it's super emotional when you have to go out and pitch your own project. That's really what I focus on. And sometimes I just let Shahan do his thing and just like, hey, what do you think about this?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would just add one more thing. Like, you won't see this in a lot of. You'll see it at the big level, like the A16Z and the Pantera. But we have JP Morgan as our bank. We have Deloitte, and we have Cooley, which is the best crypto law firm. So it's like we might be a smaller fund in the grand scheme of things, but we are using the top-notch, top-tier service providers for all of this. So, and that's a big part of the end part of the due diligence process. Is we did not let's say go cheap on those different service providers, for the very reason we think this is going to be the biggest chain outside of Bitcoin. And so because of that, we wanted to spend the real money to make sure that everything's done properly.
Yeah.
That
Sounds like
it's incredible.
Yeah, I was gonna say, sounds like a great team between you guys.
And Candace, shout out to Candace, our head of ops, who's absolutely amazing as well.
Yeah, she has 15 years in ops in the VC space, has worked with some of the biggest funds in the world. So yeah, we're fortunate to have a 3-person team. But Shahan and I would not be who we are or be able to do what we do without her. She's the person behind the curtain that keeps us alive. To be
shout out Candace.
Yeah.
No, but you mentioned something that I want to hit on real quick, and it was that a lot of these crypto founders, they're young and they're bright minds, but they have almost zero, probably most of them have zero business skills or business sense. And it's not because they're not smart, it's just the experience. They lack that. I've ran businesses, my family's in entrepreneurs, so I see that being like, we talk to a lot of founders. Like, so does that blow you away? Or did you expect that because they are young? Because you have business sense, you've been through that.
Yeah, I mean, I was young too. I had my first business, so I had to experience the same thing, and that's where I can, relate to them. I expect it. When you're doing pre-seed, that's what you expect. So, you expect a young founder. What you're looking for is someone hungry that's also receptive to learning, and that's the most important thing. My goal is to help them early, to save them from themselves, because you can make mistakes while raising capital in the pre-seed stage. That hinders your growth later on. It hinders your ability to raise capital, or just discourages other investors from coming in because of how your cap table is structured, stuff like that. So I actually really like working with the young entrepreneurs and their first run at it. They're hungry. It's exciting for them, and I can feed off their energy. So I love it.
Do you go deeper though? Because like some of them have issues with burn rate or management skills and stuff like that. Do you go deeper with them?
Yeah, I mean, that's a tricky thing. So I do talk to them about it. I mean, I don't do it. I don't do it for the purpose of structure or anything. I kind of just do it as a friend,
Gotcha.
and maybe say, hey, like, because this is their thing. Like so you want them to own it. I'd rather them come to me and say, hey, what do you think about this, or what do you think about that, and then I'll give them my opinion.
Gotcha.
But I don't like inject myself into their operations. I think some of that is like they have to go through a learning curve themselves. and to really be good at what they're doing and be good at really being a leader and understanding how to run a business. Sometimes you have to make some mistakes. My main thing is stopping them from making a big mistake. That's really, I mean, burn rate can be figured out. Like that stuff can be figured out. What can't be figured out is when you give up too much of your cap table to one investor early at a real high valuation, you know, stuff like that. But you know, if they come to me and say, hey, you know, I'm having trouble with my burn rate, or I'm having trouble with this or that, I'll give them my opinion based on my experience. But you know, sometimes I just let them make a few mistakes. It's kind of good for them to learn.
Growth.
Yeah, exactly.
And just to add to that, I think one of the things from the token perspective, like you might ask them, like, why are you launching a token? Like, what is the token going to do? Now, it doesn't necessarily have to have utility, but what is the token's function once you do launch it? And then the other piece is, what do you do with the token once it is launched? Because one of the biggest problems I see, which is unforced errors, unnecessary errors, is like people would create a liquidity pool with a token that doesn't have the right market structure, right? So like if you have too thick of a liquidity pool, you have to burn through so much buy power to get through the token to not even move the price. So why is there so much liquidity of that token in the market? So I think that's another piece. Once your token is live, who holds those tokens? How is that being managed? If they own over 10% of the token, do you have a strategy to deal with that token once it is out there and a big whale is looking to dump? Because one of the things about closed-ended funds, and Brent's the best at this in terms of talking through it, is when a closed-ended fund, when a fund ends, let's say it's a 5-year fund or a 10-year fund, let's use a 10-year fund, for example. At the end of the 10 years, they have to sell all the assets. Okay, so like if you have to sell all the assets and you're not prepared, or you don't know that that fund needs to do that, you're about to see 10% of the supply of that token dump on the market. The other piece is, does that team know how to sell those tokens in a way that doesn't destroy the project, the team, and the community? And I'll just leave this as a little bit of tip, a little bit of alpha, but look into single-sided liquidity. Okay, so Uniswap v3, the difference between Uniswap v2 and Uniswap v3 is this concept of single-sided, which essentially means that you only have to give one side of the token. You don't have to give both pairs. And if you do it within a range, as the price moves up, you're just changing the ratio. So if you're all in Bitcoin and the price is moving into a range, you're going to change that ratio between Bitcoin and, let's say, USDC or something like that. You're not actually selling the token. When it moves into the range, you're just having a different ratio of the tokens that you have. And then you pool that liquidity and you don't have a big dump in the price. A lot of people don't know this. And because of that, you'll see a lot of the tokens dump. And it's because the whales are dumping the price irresponsibly.
Do the AMMs on Solana have that same concept, or?
Yeah.
They do?
So,
okay.
Yeah. So there's a single-sided piece on Solana. It's not as straightforward as Uniswap v3. If you did want to practice on something, I recommend going on a layer 2 v3. That way the gas costs are really low as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, this is awesome. It sounds like you guys just don't come in as VCs. You guys come in as like almost like partners on these projects, which that sounds awesome. You guys come in with, you know, your experience in DeFi and Brent's experience and like managing companies and burn rate. It seems like you guys are a perfect team one, and to help a lot of these young players. I mean, really, I mean, when you come in as a founder, you're playing the game, right? This is a game to be played, and you got to win. You got to win or lose. That's all it is. I'm curious. Maybe you guys have some advice for some young founders out there, just maybe just getting started with just using AI to code and just kind of creating a business. Is there any advice for you to give that young guy?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think asking experienced entrepreneurs, you know, people that have done it before, especially when it comes to deal structure and raising capital, I think that that's, you know, a lot of them just don't reach out to people, and then, you know, it's too late. Like, go out and get some advice, find a mentor, you know, find someone that'll talk to you. Honestly, like anybody that's done this before, like I'm an entrepreneur, I sold a company, helped a PE back roll up sell, you know, I've been an investor and had companies exit. So I've walked them all the way through pre-seed to exit, even in crypto, pre-seed to TGE, successful ones. I love helping the founders. Just reach out to someone like me. You'd be surprised. Like us guys that have been through it before, and then now we're just investing. What we like most is when founders call us up and say, "Hey, what do you think about this?" Or, "I'm about to do this. Like, why don't you give me some advice?" I wish more founders would actually call me up and ask me that first instead of asking me for money.
Yeah. To that point, going back to that Think and Grow Rich book, he reverse engineered success. And if you're a young founder, everyone was young at one point, right? And everyone is going through that journey. So to Brent's point, the reason why I started the podcast is I was trying to get in front of the John McAfees, the Max Kaisers of the world, and I couldn't get in front of them. That's why I started the podcast, because now I have an excuse. By the way, John McAfee was my first podcast.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So
How did you pull that off?
Yeah. So he basically said, he put out a tweet and he said, F all the mainstream media. I want to go on to podcasts that are like free form media. Mm-hmm. He's like, send me a note and I'll do something. So I went to the Blockchain World Conference. I forgot what year this was, maybe 2018 or 2019. And he spoke at that event, and he was supposed to speak in person. And because he was on that freedom boat, I don't know if you guys remember that, he was on the run.
Yeah.
He had to do it from the boat. And at the end of it, there was a Q&A. And actually, my dad came with me to the conference. My dad's a Bitcoiner as well. And my dad's a big technologist. And I asked a question to them. And he was running for president, actually, for the Libertarian Party. There's no way I remember. He could have won. Yeah. But I asked him a question. I was like, what would you do your first day in office? My dad recorded my question. So when I sent him an email, I sent him a video of the question and just say, hey, I don't have an audience. I don't have anything. I have no value to add to you, but you have the audience. If you'd be willing to do it, I would love to have you on the show. And so he jumped on the show. We had a great time. And then
I watched it.
Yeah. And he came on again. So he came on twice onto the show. And it was because I had the podcast. So I earned a right. I earned a seat at the table simply because I had a podcast. That was my excuse to reach out to these various people. But if you didn't do that, just go to conferences. You can go to meetups. There's meetups all over the place, everywhere. Just go out, meet people. What I try to do is if I can get a list of people that are attending events, the targets that I have, I think of 2 to 3 things of value or of interest, or if they have a book, I read the book, or if they have a podcast, I watch the podcast. So it's not like a cold thing. I was in sales for a long time. You don't want to have a cold lead. You want to try to do as much of a warm kind of introduction or first engagement as you can. And then just have some sort of action or follow-up step that you can have after to continue that conversation. And just don't be scared to network, because at the end of the day, just find the people that do it the best. Don't reinvent the wheel and just copy that success.
Yeah, there's an old saying in angel investing. And it goes like this: ask for advice and you'll get money. Ask for money and you'll get advice.
Man, I feel like I should be writing this stuff down. This is phenomenal, guys.
It's recorded, awesome.
So yeah. I'll be taking notes later. Man, this has been absolutely awesome, man. Really appreciate your time, but love to give you guys a stage one last time, and we talk to the audience. If there's anything you missed or anything you guys want to talk about, you get the stage is yours.
I'll go first and let Shahan end it. Yeah, I mean, just keep an eye out for Arch. I mean, Arch mainnet's coming soon. We're all really excited, and we've got some really cool dApps that are going to be built on it, like Saturn, of course. So yeah, everybody keep their eye out, because this is about to happen. This is not if, it's when, and when is soon.
Yeah, totally agree. Bitcoin DeFi is coming. The applications are coming. The market cap of all these other tokens, I'm not going to say they're going down. You could do the math yourself and figure out what's going to happen. We're very bullish on that. I'm very fortunate to have the team that I do, and very fortunate to be on this podcast. I would like to say like, comment, and subscribe to the OnChain Revolution. These guys know what they're doing. Clearly, they have a passion, and you guys, the consistency of this is absolutely amazing. I had live streams before. I had a baby, the fund, all that stuff, and I put it to the side. I know how hard it is, so make sure to support these guys.
Appreciate it.
Congrats, guys.
Thank you, and appreciate both of you guys. We know that you both are busy and stuff, and we're excited for Arch and excited to see like how much DPI grows as well. And we can't wait to have you both back on the show.
Cool. Well, thank
Cool.
you. We really appreciate it, and we'll come back on for
Yeah.
sure. Love
Thanks,
it.
guys.
Yeah, man.
All right. See
Well,
you
Take
guys.
it
we'll
easy.
send you guys below, and we'll talk in 1 second.
Okay.
All right. See you.
Well, man, that was absolutely awesome. I feel like I threw those guys a few curveballs and they hit them at the park. I mean, this is a team that I truly believe in as VCs. These aren't just like VCs either. Like when people say VCs, I kind of think of they just get in early to projects and they dump tokens. That's not these guys. These guys are long-term investors. These guys are there to really take founders from just a young team to maturity. Right. I'm really excited for what they're going to bring. And they honestly got me super bullish on Arch right now.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing, man. Hearing about Brent's previous experience of building that company up in the tech world and then being able to sell that for whatever amount. I mean, it was a large amount, but like, the fact, even if it was 100 million, which is still a lot, the fact that he had that success and he can gauge like what it takes to make a business successful, and then he has his VC and angel investor experience to see right away. And then you have Shahan, that's like he's more the deep diver in terms of like the tokenomics, all these things. He knows, he's a power user. I think that was a great term that he used.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's something that I feel like you have that kind of skill set to where you know the tools, that, and something's off, then you're gonna know right away. And so I got really bullish throughout the episode on Arch, and we've always had like a bullish feeling of Arch, but this really kind of just made me kind of like bring it to another level.
Yeah, push it over the top for sure, 100%. But yeah, man, thank you guys for checking this out, man. Really appreciate you guys taking the time out.
Yep, exactly, guys. And we are so thankful for you guys. Without you guys, we couldn't do this, and we loved our job. But also without our partners, we couldn't do it. So if you could quickly check them out, we would greatly appreciate it. Sats Terminal is the DEX aggregator, the swap for the Bitcoin ecosystem. If you're looking to swap for runes, you got to do it at satsterminal.com. You're going to earn Amber points. That's going to be give back to the early adopters of the platform. You can also swap for alkanes there. Head over to satsterminal.com and learn more there. And then BetBTC is the predictions marketplace for the Bitcoin ecosystem. All you need is a Bitcoin wallet, some Bitcoin, and 6 Bitcoin blocks, so you can start placing bets in their blitz markets. It's like a perps and leverage kind of gamified, quick way of doing that with Bitcoin, BNB, or Solana. You get a 10-minute or 10 seconds. No, it's a 10-minute countdown and to see what price you want to get locked in, and 10 minutes to see if you're right or wrong there. Head over to betbtc.win to learn more about them. And then Emblem Vault, you're going to be able to jump your ordinals utilizing their vaults. You're going to be able to do that from Bitcoin to Ethereum, Base, Abstract, etc. And then they also have their AI agent Hustle, which you can use for Solana. And then they have a TGE Bitcoin Rune for their entire ecosystem that's going to have a TGE in September. You can participate in a pre-sale environment on OpenSea right now if you search Emblem Founder Vaults there. And then Artura.finance is the person leverage DEX of the Bitcoin ecosystem. You're going to be able to trade synthetic Bitcoin fungibles. You're going to be able to trade stuff like Doggo the Moon, $1 Billion Cat, Ordi Sats, and popular tokens outside of the ecosystem, XRP, Tau, Ethereum. If you're not into leverage trading, that's okay. You can actually just add liquidity to their vaults, right? That helps the platform out there. And you're going to be able to earn points the entire time while utilizing their platform. Once they go live on mainnet, which should be soon, they're going to go live on Botonics. And make sure you're using Botonics because you can double dip there. You can earn Bitcoin from the Botonic side and XP from the Artura side that can get you a future airdrop. Make sure you head over to Artura.finance today. And then Fluid Tokens, they are the first to introduce staking vaults on Bitcoin Layer 1 to retail users. They have done Dog Go to the Moon Season 1 and Season 2. Season 3 is coming up in the end of this month or early August, but they're going to kind of do like a mesh integration of alkanes and dog. So you can actually stake your alkanes and earn dog, stake dog, earn alkanes. Really cool situation. They also have an airdrop tool. You got to check it out if you're a Bitcoin builder. You can airdrop runes or alkanes. You can do that with a CSV file or manually. And on the Cardano side, you can earn Babel fees if you add liquidity to their Aquarium platform. So head over to fluidtokens.com. You can learn about the Cardano and Bitcoin side there. And then Tokyo Wallet is multi-chain smart wallet. They're building for the best UI UX for all their users. They're going to be supporting SUI very soon, so stay tuned to that. But right now, you can actually swap for runes as they partner with SAS Terminal on that side, and they partners with Dex Hunter on the Cardano side, so you can actually swap for Cardano tokens as well. There's a little alpha section on there as well, to where you can find us and other YouTubers. So it's a one-stop shop, guys. Make sure you check it out. If you have an iPhone, head over to the Apple App Store. If you have an Android, head over to Google Play. Download it. Let us know your feedback. Head over to Tokyo.io there. And then Merlin Chain, uniting Bitcoin strength with the power of AI. They have their Wizard 0.3 version that's going to guide you through their ecosystem. You can actually do DeFi functions with the Wizard stake. You can swap. But version 4 is coming out very soon, and you can actually use it as a research tool. You can ask the Wizard, hey, give me the best tokens in the Solana ecosystem. It'll give you like the top 5. Or you can say, give me the top 5 whales in the Solana ecosystem, and it'll show you what they're holding. So very useful in that aspect. You can also stake on merlinchain.io to help secure the chain. Bitcoin, you can earn 8 to 21% APR. That is locked till September 30th if you do stake that. And then you have the Merlin token staking, which is flexible day to day. It does take 7 days to withdraw that. You can earn 15% APR, and you can actually claim your rewards day to day. And then they have the bonded, which is 6-month lockup period. You can earn 45% APR there. Amazing stuff coming out of Merlin Chain. Check them out, merlinchain.io. And our integrated partners, Jungle, formerly Foxy AI, building the metaverse on Bitcoin, called the Bitverse, as well as their first-person shooter game called Cypher Striker, and they added support to Bitcoin Derby. And then Ordinal Hive is the aggregator Ordinal marketplace. You're going to find the cheapest Ordinals around at Ordinal Hive, and we do have they have some trading tools on there to check out as well. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us and checking out our partners.
Yup. Great job, man. As always, and if you guys wouldn't mind checking out OnChainRevolution.io, we have some of the best articles dating all the way back to 2023. If you know someone just entering the space, please send them our website. We really feel we can help them get started and code up to where we are today. We have articles all the way back then, guys, where you can go week by week and figure out what exactly was happening all the way up till today. It's actually really, really smart for you as someone new, or if you know someone new, to kind of read those articles. New article just dropped today as well. Go check that out. And guys, if you need a VPN, I highly recommend everyone have a VPN. We have a 70% off coupon for NordVPN on the site. You can't miss it. And you know, lock it in for 2 years because it's $3 a month. If you lock it in for 2 years, boom, done. I mean, you can lock it in for a month at that price, but then in a month when you come back, you got to pay the $10, right? Because you already used that email and that coupon. But if you lock it in for 2 years, set it, forget it, lock it in at that price, done. And you know, it's, let's say you go to a site and they geo block you, which means, you know, you go there and it says, hey, we don't like people in America using our site. It's not like your country that's blocking you, it's the site. Go around that. Put a VPN to Italy, put a VPN to Switzerland, and you guys can use that product in your decentralized wallet. There's nothing stopping you but yourself at this point. And on top of that, you know, you don't want anyone getting your IP address, right? So have a different IP when you're going to those sites. And if you guys need merch, we have some of the best merch in all of crypto. Check everything out there at onchainrevolution.io. And guys, we are live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific, and 3 p.m. UTC. Check us out all week, guys. And until tomorrow,
Peace.
OnChain Revolution roll call. Market recap. You not bullish enough, no. You're not bullish enough, no. Look at the price go. Bitcoin control. Why you still coping? Price action rolling. Don't fall for bear trap. Swapping indexes and putting it up in the sex. I can take profit right now. OnChain is where I be now. You can never look back. They don't want you to know. How did the market react? Fear and greed gotta adapt. Now we bridging the tokens and marching the network right now. You know how crazy we are. Nookies are savages now. They know how crazy we are. Chain abstraction, main attraction. OnChain Revolution.